3. iAtlas continues exposing secrets we never expected. Observe how something like a tail seems to be developing. The reality is researchers cannot fully clarify the reason. Right now, an entity weighing 73 trillion pounds travels across our cosmic neighborhood at 24,000 miles hourly. And here's what ought to concern you. It didn't come from here. When researchers examined its optical properties, they found severe negative polarization, a characteristic we've never observed in any recorded comet. Now think about this. The entity's course matched within merely 5 degrees of Earth's planetary plane, traveling exceptionally near Mars, with scheduling so computationally exact that probabilities are under 1 per million. This isn't a typical guess. The entity carries substantial weight and its pathway mirrors the disk where our worlds circle the sun. Harvard physicist Avi Loeb calculates there's a 30 to 40% likelihood that this isn't completely natural occurrence. But here's where matters get truly worrying. Throughout the latest governmental closure, NASA's information channels became entirely silent precisely as this entity reached its closest position to Mars. 3. iAtlas has broken each rule we thought controlled entities from outside our cosmic region. So we start questioning whether this entity might be engineered. Could it be monitoring us? Consider this thoughtfully. The most essential inquiry we confront is if we're observing machinery or just natural processes. Hopefully, we'll learn additional details soon. Here's what becomes increasingly significant. 3. iAtlas emerged from exactly the angle where alien watchers might have identified Earth crossing before our sun. Based on Loeb's mathematics, any society located inside a 10-degree area from our planetary disk might have found our cosmic neighborhood through transit detection, the identical technique we employ discovering distant worlds. They'd understand exactly where our world travels and which supports biology. This entity's 5-degree positioning locates it precisely inside that observation area. Picture this. If somebody sent this device after watching Earth, they've been observing our planet for maybe millennia, patiently awaiting the ideal time for contact. If puzzles like these fascinate your mind, follow immediately. We're tracking this entity while developments happen live. For several months, individuals have been raising identical troubling inquiries regarding 3 iAtlas. The explanations we're discovering are much more concerning than everybody anticipated. This cosmic voyager shows 7 recorded irregularities that make researchers seek understanding. Different from the cylindrical Oumuamua or standard comet Borisov, this challenges each classification we've established. We'll start with maybe the most troubling discovery, its apparently unachievable weight. At beyond 73 trillion pounds, 3 iAtlas mass is approximately 6 million times greater than SpaceX's Starship, presently our strongest spacecraft. Harvard scientists reached this weight calculation after witnessing something remarkable. Although obvious gas release forms a nearby halo, the entity's path stays basically unaffected. Usually, as comets discharge gas, they're moved easily, similar to a balloon losing pressure. Not this entity. Could the weight be so massive that these strong emissions hardly change its direction? This alters all we believe we knew. Now, here's where matters get truly peculiar. Considering all we know regarding cosmic space thickness, there plainly shouldn't exist sufficient stony substance there to send an entity this huge toward our central cosmic region. Loeb computed the numbers, and considering the recognized spread of material wandering among stars, we ought to have met many tinier entities prior to something this gigantic ever coming. We haven't observed them. Like Loeb stated, insufficient stony substance moves through cosmic space to send such a massive stone toward our central cosmic region during the last 10 years. So, we start questioning, what's that indicating? The scheduling creates inquiries that are increasingly concerning. On October 3, 2025, 3 Atlas traveled inside 18 million miles from Mars, near sufficient for our vehicles and satellites to record pictures with unmatched resolution. The Perseverance vehicle documented something traveling over the Mars atmosphere, an angled line that didn't resemble the regular paths made by stars. But here's what ought to concern you. Right as this momentous passage was occurring, many NASA platforms and information channels became entirely quiet due to the governmental closure. The scheduling appears incredibly opportune, exactly as researchers globally were needing immediate data. What we succeeded recording prior to the interruption is deeply confusing. The entity seems elongated, more like Oumuamua than regular spherical comets. It doesn't have the impressive tail we'd anticipate from something this energetic. Rather, it's surrounded by a scattered haze of charged particles that acts different from everything in our research records. The molecular structure creates another puzzle dimension. Researchers identified cyanide and carbon monoxide, which aren't strange for comets. However, they discovered proof indicating that the surroundings near 3I Atlas mirrors Mars-type environments instead of the usual areas where comets develop. This suggests something remarkable. The entity could have started from a world's ground, not from the icy voids of space where comets originate. Including the entity's activity close to the Sun challenges what we'd anticipate. On September 25th, a solar mass discharge, basically a huge stellar eruption, hit 3I Atlas directly. Researchers expected this wave of energized fragments would significantly change the comet, maybe even split it. Subsequent viewings on September 27th and October 2nd showed nothing significant at all. No breaking, no rapid tail appearing, merely slow growth of its external shell. It's nearly like this entity has greater durability than regular comets should possess. Now, here's what actually disturbs researchers' rest: the polarization irregularity. As solar radiation bounces from particles near comets, it forms a particular design we can calculate accurately. Each individual comet we've analyzed shows favorable polarization at wide observation positions. 3I Atlas displays unfavorable polarization at 2.77% at a viewing position of 64 degrees, greater extreme than any comet ever documented. This indicates the particles near it are basically distinct from everything present in our cosmic region. Picture this: the fragments could be coarser, more uneven shaped, or made from substances we've never seen previously. Then there's the path directly, which presents its own fascinating narrative. Different from arbitrary fragments wandering across space, 3I Atlas moves on a course positioned nearly exactly with our cosmic region's disk where every world travels. The likelihood of this happening through simple luck is 0.0002, or approximately 1 in 50,000. Now think about what occurs subsequently. It traveled near Mars, will travel close to Jupiter on March 16, 2026, and came at exactly the correct time to meet several worlds. The total likelihood of these simultaneous accidents, under 1 per million. Consider this from a technical perspective briefly. Suppose somebody desired to examine several worlds effectively. You'd plan a path that remains near the planetary disk. You'd precisely schedule your entrance to increased meetings with numerous worlds conceivable. That's precisely what 3I Atlas performs. This entity will travel inside 33.5 million miles from Jupiter, near sufficient for comprehensive viewings if it carries any devices present. Like Loeb notes, if this path was planned by alien awareness, the 5-degree tilt becomes entirely logical. It shows the best position to watch passages of primary region rocks, which possess an aperture position of approximately 10 degrees over and under the planetary disk. However, certain researchers are suggesting an increasingly remarkable option. Dr. Suzanne Fenner proposes that entities similar to 3 Atlas could really be world starters. Her models show that huge cosmic entities dropping toward new cosmic regions might initiate the complete world creation mechanism. Rather than needing countless years to develop slowly from particles, worlds might develop quickly near these prepared centers. If accurate, portions of Jupiter's wake could have started from a prehistoric cosmic guest ages previously. The velocity shows another warning indicator we cannot dismiss. Presently traveling at 37 kilometers compared to Mars, 3I Atlas will increase to 42 kilometers close to the Sun. That's 150,000 MPa, rapid sufficient to travel our complete Earth in merely 10 minutes. This velocity isn't strange for cosmic entities. However mixed with its enormous weight, it shows incredible movement power. If this represented engineered machinery, it would show abilities much exceeding everything people might accomplish. The dimension calculations keep increasing while we collect improved information. Starting viewings indicated something small, maybe several hundred feet wide. Currently, we're observing a center approximately 3 kilometers broad. That's 3 kilometer dense substance, not including the nearby haze of particles. For context, that's bigger than the rock that destroyed the dinosaurs 65 million years previously. Picture something the dimension of a tiny peak moving across space at velocities that would travel the complete United States in below 2 minutes. European Space Agency vehicles show our final opportunity for clear solutions. As NASA became quiet, ESA's Mars Express and ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter maintained their viewings. The future JUICE vehicle will meet 3I Atlas in November 2025. Although information delivery pauses indicate we won't observe outcomes quickly, these viewings might ultimately show if this entity has any strange ground characteristics or internal designs that shouldn't naturally occur. What becomes actually frightening isn't any individual irregularity alone. It's the design developing before us. Each calculation we perform extends the limits of what ought to be physically achievable. The weight is excessively massive, the structure excessively unusual, the scheduling excessively exact, the path excessively computationally accurate. Researchers employ the phrase black swan occurrence for something so mathematically improbable. It makes us basically reassess our beliefs regarding existence. Loeb declares it directly. People claiming 3I Atlas is completely physical need to somehow clarify every 7 irregularities using physical mechanisms only. Currently, nobody has succeeded doing this. The entity emits radiation in methods that regular comets plainly don't. Certain scientists expect it could disappear in a spectacular exhibition or break toward fragments close to solar approach in late October. Different people think it could amaze us again through remaining entirely whole. However, here's the greatest concerning option ever. Suppose 3. Atlas shows what Loeb names a Trojan horse? Machinery hidden as a physical entity wandering across space. The ideal disguise might be seeming nearly similar to a comet, however not completely. Simply distinct sufficient that precise viewing finally shows the reality, but comparable sufficient to prevent quick identification as it initially comes. Think about the deep consequences of this. If a sophisticated society desired to examine cosmic regions throughout the universe, what superior technique than dispatching devices planned to appear similar to physical entities? They might collect information for countless years during wandering quietly among stars, sometimes traveling across regions similar to ours to watch and document. The 5-degree planetary positioning might become entirely reasonable if the device was planned to meet several worlds as effectively as achievable. The strange durability it displayed towards stellar eruptions might be precisely what we'd anticipate for substances much more sophisticated than everything we built. Currently, we're not stating 3I Atlas is absolutely engineered. The research agreement continues favoring physical beginnings. However, the gathering of these irregularities has achieved a point where, including traditional researchers, are starting to raise difficult inquiries that test all. This entity is making us genuinely face options we've consistently rejected as complete fantasy. While 3I Atlas nears the Sun, opportunity is ending to examine it correctly. By December 19, 2025, it will travel 167 million miles from Earth. Our last favorable observation chance prior to it disappears permanently toward the huge void of cosmic space. Any mysteries it holds inside, we possess merely weeks left to discover them. Following that time traveling, it turns into simply one more puzzle gone permanently to the universal emptiness. The cosmos recently turned considerably more unusual and maybe much more populated than we previously thought achievable. If 3I Atlas proves to be physical or engineered, it's previously demonstrated us that cosmic guests might be much more huge, much more intricate, and endlessly more puzzling than we previously imagined achievable. The following guess could show increasingly strange than this entity. And if this situation educated us something valuable, it's that we completely must be ready and observing. If this narrative expanded your thoughts to the deep puzzles hiding directly inside our cosmic region, approve this and follow for ongoing information while we monitor 3I Atlas approaching the Sun. Post your hypothesis regarding what this entity actually shows in the responses underneath. And send this to anybody who thinks space is uninteresting. This will entirely transform how they view the cosmos.